You're the most exciting fighter we've ever seen.
From the moment the first bell rings, he's coming at you. Guns blazing. He doesn't fight safe. He doesn't fight to outpoint you. There's no one that's been like that, where you see one version of them that kind of has a little bit of quit in them, and then a version that is unstoppable.
But I have just one question for you.
How did he become this guy? He is legitimately one of the best fighters I have ever seen in my entire life.
He has the most submissions in the history of the UFC.
How do you submit 20 of the most dangerous people in the world?
Recordista de bônus, recordista de finalização, o cara que mais demorou pra se tornar campeão. A minha história tá escrita lá dentro.
Why aren't you moving?
Não, de que eu nem mexi o pescoço nem nada e mesmo assim...
Já foi?
Ah, irmão, aí, filho, só chorei, mano. Eu pensei que eu não voltava a andar mais, que eu não ia ter mais movimento do lado esquerdo. Foi um momento muito complicado na minha vida.
Paralyzed and afraid. That was Charles Oliveira's story for a long, long time.
Nada nem ninguém.
Hold on, bro. I didn't know he was paralyzed. Well, almost paralyzed before. What the fuck happened? Why he was holding the shit? I don't remember. But hey, man, look, like, comment, subscribe, bro. We finally here, bro. Y'all been telling me to do Charles Oliveira, man. Y'all been telling me to do him, bro. So we are finally here. Like, comment, subscribe. Check the UFC/Pride Legends playlist for more reactions like this, man. Let me know in the comments who you want me to react to next. But hey, man, we finally here, man.
Tem mais do que a vida me bateu.
Dói muito, tá doendo, tá doendo. Deu uma dor tão forte, tão forte. O pai dele teve que pegar ele no colo porque ele não conseguia ficar de pé. A gente tá ele pé, ele caía.
Eu não conseguia nem andar, sabe? E aí meu pai e a mãe pegavam e tipo, colocavam na bicicleta e no médico.
Charles was diagnosed with a heart murmur and rheumatic fever at 7 years old, significantly weakening his joints and body, so the doctors recommended he not play any sports or do any physical activity.
Mas, tipo assim, uma coisa que eu lembro muito, assim, que foi muito, sabe, na minha cabeça, assim.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
God damn.
Come on, man.
Well, he went through it, huh?
Physical activity.
Mas, tipo assim, uma coisa que eu lembro muito, assim, que foi muito, sabe, na minha cabeça, assim, foi quando os médicos falaram assim que... Não pode ser, ele não vai ser mais um moleque normal, né? Ele não tem como, né? Ele jogar uma bola, ele fazer essas coisas, é muito difícil pra ele fazer.
Charles was in and out of the hospital for over 2 years and suffered even more years of penicillin injections to reduce inflammation.
Queria, porque a bezetacil, ela é bem doída.
Eu quero ser uma pessoa normal. Quero ser uma criança normal, quero correr pela rua. Eu quero jogar bola. Eu falei pro meu pai, pai, se for pra mim não ser um moleque normal, eu prefiro que Deus me leve, prefiro morrer. Não tomei nada de remédio, não tomei mais injeção. Foi a última. Pode dar vontade de Deus que eu vá embora, que eu morra, eu vou morrer, tá ligado? E aí foi quando eu conheci o jiu-jitsu. O que eu me apaixonei foi pelo jiu-jitsu, com 12 anos de idade. E aí, cara, eu comecei a treinar, me dedicar, sabe? O jiu-jitsu me ajudou. Eu me apaixonei, eu me encontrei de tudo aquilo que eu fiz, eu falei, mano, é isso que eu quero.
Despite the pain from his health conditions, Charles joined a social program to start jiu-jitsu. His family couldn't really afford his passion, but they still spent what little money they had to get him to BJJ competitions because they believed their son could make something out of this.
Tudo graças ao bom Deus, tudo aquilo que eu lutei, eu ganhei no mundo do jiu-jitsu, eu ganhei muita coisa no mundo do jiu-jitsu. Acho que um mês de jiu-jitsu que eu tinha, eu já fui campeão paulista de jiu-jitsu.
This sick, skinny boy was miraculously dominating the jiu-jitsu
scene,
he already had it in him. The doctors that told him he couldn't.
Voltamos pro médico, cheguei lá, não falei nada, só joguei a medalha em cima da mesa assim. Falei, o que é isso? Olhou pra minha mãe e meu pai falou assim, ele é campeão paulista de jiu-jitsu. Depois de um tempo eu voltei a fazer os exames e eu não tinha mais nada. E, mano, eu falo muito isso, o esporte, ele salva vidas.
E aí, daí pra frente, o Charlie só foi um destaque, em nome de Jesus, né?
Through jiu-jitsu, Oliveira cured himself of his illnesses and became a grappling phenom.
Damn. Jiu-jitsu killed his... Bruh, damn. Hold on, bro.
What the fuck was that?
But since there wasn't much money in jiu-jitsu, it was only natural that he'd try out an adjacent sport.
E aí, aos 18 anos de idade, eu estreiei no MMA. Nem 70 quilos eu bati, irmão. Eu não tinha nem 70. Nunca lutei. Só a capa. Nunca tinha, tipo, treinado num cage de luta nem nada.
Charles signed up for a welterweight Grand Prix, a tournament of fights where he was heavily outsized. And, as you can imagine, he was fucking thrilled about it.
Sou um bosta mesmo, né, mano? Que medo eu vim fazer aqui nessa porra. Nem gostar disso eu gosto. Peguei o cara que todo mundo acha que é o campeão. O cara chutou minhas pernas, botei pra baixo e ganhei do cara. Mataleão.
You're done.
A bica que eu tomei, irmão, eu já tava como?
É sério, mano?
Uma bica
aonde ele acertou?
Okay, good news, Charles won his first fight. Bad news, he had another fight in a few minutes and his leg was fucked up.
Aí entrou quem?
Off that one leg kick, I don't know why y'all throwing leg kicks at Charles, man. Even though y'all didn't know who he was, y'all should have. Yeah, come on.
Viscar de Andrade, ex-UFC também. Maior do que o cara primeiro que eu tinha ganhado. Fizemos 2 rounds de pancada e eu fui nocauteei o cara. Nunca tinha dado um soco na vida. Quando eu abri o olho assim, ele tava no chão, eu falei, eita, fui eu. Tá ligado?
Aí tá, domínio total da luta.
That's 2 fights down with 2 different finishes. This kid was special, but
For real?
one more fight to go before calling it a night.
Aí fui lutar contra o Diego Braga, na época era um cara do jiu-jitsu também. Começou a luta, eu botei ele pra baixo, começou tentando me pegar. Aí no chão, mano, eu fiquei batendo tanto nele, fui no nocauteei o cara.
He finishing folks.
Charles won all 3 fights in stunning fashion. And spoiler alert, he actually won another Underground Grand Prix shortly after. It's just not officially on his record. But in this moment, there was only one thing on his mind.
3 lutas na noite, eu ganhei dos caras e eu ganhei dinheiro. Eu falei, opa, eu posso fazer isso aqui pra dar algo melhor pra minha família.
Pessoal, vem conhecer um pouquinho da minha casa aqui, tá?
A gente não tinha nada, irmão. A gente não tinha nada, tá ligado? Morava no fundo da casa da minha avó, irmão. Tretadinho, 6 pessoas. Não tinha dinheiro pra nada.
Aqui, onde que minha mãe prepara a comida da gente, a cozinha, junto com o banheiro um pouquinho pequenininho, mas dá pra gente.
Você imagina, 1 quarto, sala, cozinha e banheiro, era isso que tinha.
O meu quarto, tipo assim, a maioria das coisas que tem aqui, eu consegui comprar com dinheiro das minhas lutas que eu ganhei, meu pai e minha mãe ajudando.
Charles grew up very, very poor. Aside from being a fighter, he would sell onions and garlic on his bicycle to support his hard-working
Onions and
parents.
garlic?
Meu pai não sabe nem escrever, meu pai sabe bem pouco.
Essa aqui é minha avó, né? Minha avó, minha mãe, praticamente foi ela que me criou a nossa vida inteira. Minha avó, minha rainha. Vem aqui.
Shout out to
Meu pai e minha
her,
mãe
man.
trabalharam em 2 empregos. Minha mãe trabalhava de faxineira na escola e ela saía de lá e ia pra casa do dono da escola pra trabalhar de faxineira. Meu pai trabalhou na feira como filante a vida inteira e trabalhava no matadouro.
Minha motivação, assim, é poder dar um futuro melhor pra minha família. Porque a minha família é uma família humilde que, tipo, nunca passou fome, mas passou muita dificuldade, né?
Eu não posso reclamar do meu pai e da minha mãe, porque fizeram muito pela gente, por isso que hoje eu mato e morro por eles, faço tudo por eles.
Charles was determined to uplift his family from their humble situation in the favelas of Brazil to a better life. And that wasn't gonna happen.
I will ride through your favelas on horseback. No. Y'all know who that man is.
Selling garlic on a bicycle.
Crescemos aqui, rodeado na favela, rodeado de problemas.
Já abandonei a escola, mano. Tá ligado? Que eu parei de estudar, tá ligado?
Em que série?
Primeiro, segundo ano, eu acho. Meu pai falou, você vai ser campeão. Vai acontecer. Falei, mano, já abandonei a escola em busca desse sonho, mano. Eu comecei a falar, mano, eu tenho que chegar no UFC, mano.
Por que Charles do Bronx?
Porque Bronx é periferia, da onde que eu venho, né?
Charles was racking up wins across
Hold on,
Brazil.
why they say they call
Porque Bronx é periferia, da onde que eu venho, né?
Charles was racking up wins across Brazil, making a big enough name for himself that at 7-0, he was invited to Ring of Combat for his first fight in the US. But Charles was so poor, he had to raise money in his town on Easter to get a one-way ticket to fight this guy.
Não tinha dinheiro pra comer, não tinha nada. Eu fui sem R$1 no bolso. Eu só fui pra lutar. Foi o sonho.
Charles only had the free hotel breakfast and ice cream to get him through this fight with Dom Stanley.
Fuck it,
Lá
get
finalizei
right.
o cara no segundo round, com o mata-leão nas costas, ganhei um cinturão. E aí voltei pra casa com a promessa, que ia lutar o UFC,
Do Bronx continued to dominate, scoring 11 finishes and getting to an undefeated 12-0.
Fatality.
What the fuck was that?
Did he just drop my with a flying
Continued to dominate, scoring 11 finishes and getting to an undefeated 12-0 before his dream was finally realized.
Nah, he was wilding before he got to UFC. I don't remember, bruh. What the fuck?
Cheguei em casa, ele falou, abre o e-mail aí e tal, abri o e-mail. Tava lá o papelzão gigantesco, contrato no UFC. Ah, chorei pra caramba, né? Família inteira chorou. E aí meu pai falou assim, você tá assinando um contrato do seu maior sonho, né? Do nosso maior sonho. É fácil chegar, o difícil é a gente se manter.
Você tinha quando você fez a primeira luta?
Eu tinha 20, né?
His ground game is so elite.
20?
It's so good. I've seen a lot of jiu-jitsu in my days. I've rarely seen anyone compete in MMA that closes the show like Oliveira when the fight goes to the ground. He's got a triangle and an armbar combination. Elkins is in all kinds of trouble.
Break that mother.
Wow! The hype is for real.
Hello, thank you, UFC. Thank you, San Diego. Hello, no speak English.
Thank you.
Charles submitted Darren Elkins in 41 seconds. And in the spirit of wasting no time, Do Bronx returned to the octagon less than 2 months later.
Efrain Escudero, who won the Ultimate Fighter, who was a very good fighter himself.
E ele com peso acima.
E ele com peso, acho que não foi, se foi 3 ou foi 5 quilos acima.
Nossa.
E eu falei, não, eu vou lutar, eu vim aqui pra lutar, eu vim aqui fazer história.
He fought Oliveira, and Oliveira took his back standing up and choked him out.
Yeah, you know that when he get that back.
That's when we first saw him. And that was the first time I recognized him, like, man, this kid is talented.
2 finishes in 2 months is a hell of a way to kick off your UFC career.
Facts.
But the UFC may have pushed Charles too hard, too quickly.
We have a big fight coming up against Charles Oliveira. New to the UFC, very flashy, making some waves. He's kind of taking the quick road to title contention. He has to go through you first. You have a great ground game as well.
I'm expecting a fast-paced fight. He comes after guys. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Charles' third fight in the lightweight division would be against Jim Miller, a UFC veteran on a 5-fight win streak. This was Charles' third fight in 4 months. And it just so happens that Charles went into the fight with an injured knee that was ripe for the taking.
Dessa lagoninha, magro, morto, não, tipo, só sabia jiu-jitsu, os caras muito mais fortes do que eu.
You know, I just stood up and the foot was just sitting there, you know, it was begging to be taken. I just switched right to the knee bar and within 2 seconds it was crackling.
Jim's got a leg. It's all over. It's all over. Jim Miller submits Charles Oliveira.
É foda, irmão, porque tipo assim, quando eu perdi naquilo que eu sei fazer demais, que era jiu-jitsu.
He's very talented, got a ton of potential, man. He's so confident. He reminds me of Shogun back in the old days.
Look, getting submitted by Jim Miller at 21 years old in your third UFC fight is nothing to be ashamed of. Dude Bronx was just getting started, which is why we can kind of understand the mistakes he would make early on.
Charles Oliveira and Nick Lentz, their first fight in 2011 was a great fight.
And again, illegal knee. That was an illegal knee. That was a knee to a downed opponent right there.
And it ended after an illegal knee by Charles Oliveira. It led to the finish.
That's it. It's all over. Listen to the crowd boo, though. The crowd, very knowledgeable. They are correct.
And then eventually overturned.
Damn.
That was bad. I ain't gonna lie. That was bad. Yeah, that was a bad knee.
No contest.
It's very unfortunate this happened because your performance up until that moment was outstanding.
Primeiramente, eu queria pedir desculpa ao Nick Lentz, que é um adversário duro.
Charles was easily going to beat Nick Lentz before that illegal knee. And even though it's a no contest, that's 2 fights in a row and no victory to show for it. But the UFC was so high on Charles, they made the same mistake twice.
Any chance this one makes it to decision?
We're gonna be 2 beat up tough sons of bitches if it does. I'll give it that. All right, the year, let's go.
Thanks, Cowboy.
Charles faced another Hall of Fame veteran in Donald Cowboy
then he got down.
And after getting hurt with a vicious body shot, Du Bronx started to fall apart.
Cowboy, the opportunity to finish. Cowboy trying to finish this fight. That's it. It's all over. Oliveira is very promising, very tough, but Cowboy slings harder lead.
The general sentiment at the time was that Charles had so much potential, but he was inexperienced and he was kind of a quitter. But instead of moping around, Charles...
He a quitter, but he going in the ring with some dogs. Am I tripping or...
decided he would continue working hard and move down a weight class to the featherweight division.
Quando eu perdi, então, não importava quantas vezes eu tudo quebrado, cheio de ponto na cara, eu tava treinando no outro dia.
People think of Oliveira as not being a monster because there's times that people have beaten him, but he got better.
Eu sempre acreditei nas derrotas. Eu voltava pra casa e me dedicava. Eu vou ser campeão, eu vou acreditar. Eu falava pra todo mundo, eu falava, eu vou ser campeão, não sei quando, eu vou ser campeão.
His level of jiu-jitsu is a leap higher than most of the people he's competing against. He cinches submissions up so quick. The technique is so smooth.
Transitioning and it's all over.
Oh, wow. He had his leg locked in a terrible position there and he's forced to tap.
Charles submitted Eric Wisely with the first ever calf slicer in UFC history.
Calf
which for
slicer.
you non-grapplers out there is pretty f***ing disrespectful. It's the kind of move you do because you know how much better you are than someone.
What?
But the point is, Charles Oliveira was back on track.
I never had no shit like that.
Quando eu lutei com o Escudeiro, pra mim foi a mesma coisa, ele tinha ganhado a casa e eu vim pronto fazer meu trabalho.
Great jiu-jitsu, great opponent, super tough, a lot of heart, man. It's everything you could ask for in an opponent, man. So it's exciting, man.
Deixa preso da Gold Team, isso daqui é do meu trabalho, tenho certeza que se tiver oportunidade.
So crisp though, when he gets those moments, those openings, just crisp.
It looks pretty
Look how tight it is.
And there's the tap. Charles Oliveira. Yet another finish in the UFC.
Featherweight Oliveira was on a roll. He now had 4 UFC finishes and 4 bonuses. but history will never fail to repeat itself.
You got a big fight against Charles Oliveira here on UFC 152.
That's cool.
I love to get in there. I love to put on a show, and I always come to fight.
Cub Swanson is a featherweight MMA legend, and Charles was still fresh to the weight class. So fresh, in fact, that he still didn't really know how to cut weight and missed the mark by less than half a pound.
They came in, he was 0.4 over the pound allowance. Irritated me right off the bat.
You were one of the first and the very few to KO Charles Oliveira.
I threw a straight right to the body, and then I came in with a heavy left hook to the body.
I didn't even train any jiu-jitsu for that fight. I was like, I'm just gonna knock him out.
He started to worry about the body shots, so I dipped like I was gonna throw a straight right to the body again, and then I looped it over with a big overhand, and I thought I was gonna have to follow up and finish it off, but then he just kind of crumbled, and his eyes were gone.
And he's hurt. Yeah, he's done. And it is all over.
Dang, yo, we got... Damn.
He was a shell of himself at 45, and I was able to be on the benefit of that.
This is one of the weirdest fights on Charles's record because it really does look like he just gave up after those body shots. But I really do believe that Charles Oliveira was a shell of himself at 145 pounds. And the UFC just wasn't doing him any favors in these matchups.
He's tough, he's dangerous. Probably the tallest guy I may have ever fought.
Yo.
Pretty good Muay Thai, kicks, knees, elbows. And he's got a
They wasn't, but they was giving this nigga straight demons and monsters, bro.
very slick. It's a submission game.
He's an ex-champion, he's a hard fighter, and I'm here to do my job.
I remember when he first came in the scene, he had definitely a lot of hype. He was at 55 while I was there.
If I beat him, I come back to the top 20 division. It's very important to me to beat him.
Frankie Edgar is someone that will certainly get a dedicated video one day, but at the time, he was the former lightweight champion and former featherweight title challenger. His last 7 fights were title fights. Charles was going to get slaughtered.
What will go through your mind when Bruce Buffer announces on Saturday night the winner, Frankie Edgar, because you haven't heard that in a while?
Eu vou mostrar pra todo mundo que eu não sou só apenas um lutador de jiu-jitsu, de tudo 1.5.
It'll be a relief. It's like I've been in hell for a little bit, you know, and I'm trying to bust my way back out.
Essa luta com o Frank, vocês vão ver, eu sou bem mais alto do que ele, minha envergadura é bem melhor do que a dele, bem maior do que a dele. Então a gente tem que trabalhar aquilo que a gente tem, né? Nossas armas é que a gente tem de melhor.
That's part of the puzzle, you know what I mean? You got to make sure you get inside and not, you know, take damage in the process.
Um grande lutador de wrestling, um grande lutador de boxe, e é um cara que eu admiro. Mas pra lutar 5 rounds aí, como eu também tenho, então a gente vai fazer só 3 rounds, vai ser uma luta bem movimentada, uma luta bem, vai ser uma guerra mesmo. Galera do Brasil, galera dos Estados Unidos, treinei bastante pra essa luta, quero agradecer a todos os meus professores.
I just always try to push the pace and fight my fight, and a lot of it has to do with stand-up, so that's something I'm gonna utilize in this fight.
This is the most important fight in my life. I trained so hard for that fight.
He is a baby. Not going home disappointed.
Galera, fiquem na torcida que eu vou dar o meu melhor lá em cima e se Deus quiser eu vou sair com essa vitória. Não levar só pra minha família, pra minha equipe, mas pro Brasil todo.
It was an awesome fight. You know, both guys fought hard. It was a great fight. And that's why they both got $50,000.
A experiência fez a diferença. Ele batia de cá, eu batia de lá, ele me derrubava, eu batia no chão, levantava, eu derrubava ele. Foi uma guerra.
Oliveira proved that he's a talent to be reckoned with, man. That kid's just gonna get better and better and better.
Lutou contra o Frank, eu falei, mano, vai ser uma guerra. E foi os 3 rounds lá e cá. Ele ganhou de mim no último round.
Frankie, the
Pra mim, eu perdi por causa da experiência, era muito mais experiente que eu.
Charles suffered yet another loss.
He was a baby, bro. He was on the 23.
Former champion to the scorecards in a fight of the night performance where he looked really good all around. He just didn't have the experience to beat Frankie Edgar.
E eu lembro que eu tava sentado no corredor chorando assim, e ele passou, voltou e abraçou. Para! Isso só tá começando, caralho. É verdade, né? Cheguei agora, né, mano?
That fight, although a loss, shifted DuBronx's perspective and leveled him up significantly. And to improve even further, DuBronx began training at the legendary academy Shootbox under Diego Lima around this time.
Todo mundo quer a mesma coisa. Subir. Só que ninguém pisa em ninguém. O bagulho é diferente, irmão, lá. E aí, mano, eu falei, mano, é aqui que eu tenho que estar.
Shoot2Box is largely responsible for Charles' steep elevation in his Muay Thai striking and overall MMA game moving forward. But hey, striking takes time to develop, and we still have our jiu-jitsu when we need it.
Eu não gosto de machucar ninguém, eu gosto de lutar, mas, pô, eu lutei bem. Mas graças a Deus aí, a gente conseguiu pegar ele no triângulo e, pô, conseguir essa vitória maravilhosa.
There's the tap. Charles Oliveira, yet another submission win inside the octagon.
Oliveira choked out Andy Ogle with a disgusting triangle to kick off 2014 with a bang, and his next 2 fights were just as impressive. 4 months later, Charles wrapped up Hatsu Hiyoki in the
way
tightest
he locked
anaconda
that
choke
fucking
I've
anaconda.
ever seen.
Oh my god. He about to kill that boy. The way he locked that shit.
Charles Oliveira!
And 5 months after that, despite missing weight by half a pound, Charles delivered a beautiful performance, twisting up Jeremy Stevens' arm like it was a balloon animal throughout the fight and securing a decision victory.
Charles the Bronx Oliveira!
Olha, eu sei que vocês estão me vaiando, eu já estou acostumado com isso. Eu amo todos vocês de qualquer forma. Dia vocês vão estar me aplaudindo.
Charles was riding a 3-fight win streak, but what's more is he now had an opportunity to right a wrong from his past.
My whole life was fighting, so if anyone gets in the way of that, I'm gonna hurt him. I'm gonna hurt him bad. I'm gonna hurt Charles tomorrow.
Nick Lentz wanted to get revenge on Charles for that illegal knee in their first fight, and Charles wanted to kind of shut up Nick Lentz.
He hasn't improved as much as I have. And
Nick Lentz. Now Nick Lentz really.
He's not on my level. This time I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna get Charles. I'm gonna beat him up in Brazil.
There's the face, that's it! Charles Oliveira closes the rivalry with a huge submission win here at home!
Whatever the opposite of Mystic Mac is, that's Nick Lentz. Getting choked via guillotine isn't necessarily my definition of beating someone up, but I digress.
Há 5 anos atrás, me jogaram dentro desse octógono. Uma criança no meio dos leões. Hoje eu também quero ser leão.
Riding 4 straight wins, 7 total UFC submissions, and 8 bonuses, Charles was calling his shot for a big fight.
Okay.
And he got it.
We got to talk about this main event, 145 pounds between the Brazilian.
Ooh, we got Max. Okay then. Damn.
Charles Oliveira and the very talented Max Holloway.
Aliás, eu nunca lutei 5 rounds também, então vai ser uma grande luta. Eu acho que não, acho que ele é o quinto do mundo, então é um cara bem mais difícil ainda do que até alguns dos caras que eu já lutei na categoria.
Max Holloway needs very little introduction, but at the time, the featherweight legend was riding a 6-fight win streak. So if Charles could beat Max, a title shot wouldn't be far behind.
I'm ready for whatever, you know, so wherever the fight go, I'll be great, but, you know, I see this fight being a great stand-up war.
Meu camp foi muito bom pra essa luta, o Max é um cara muito duro, mas eu tô muito bem treinado pra essa luta.
A minha luta contra o Max Holloway foi um dos testes mais duros que eu tive que passar na minha vida.
The way I beat Charles Oliveira, I gotta go out there, get in his face, hurt him early, hurt him often, and, you know, go get a TKO.
15 dias, 20 dias antes da luta. A minha força de vontade, mais a equipe que tipo, vambora, foi embora e...
Oliveira shoots, Holloway reads it, gets underneath to pull him off of his hips.
Cara, na hora que eu entrei nas pernas dele, que eu bati a cabeça na grade, só deu tempo de levantar, eu levantei o braço esquerdo e pum, já era. Perdi o movimento do lado esquerdo inteiro.
Remember, he had like a weird stinger almost in his neck, I think. And he kind of just crumbled in the corner and like tapped out.
Oh, looks like an injury to the shoulder of Charles Oliveira. Max Holloway wins the main event here tonight.
Não, de que eu nem mexi o pescoço nem nada e mesmo assim, irmão, aí, filho.
A worst thing is that somebody gotta let me know in the comments. Somebody got a comment right now. What's going on? I know they're gonna tell me, but y'all tell me some more context.
Eu só chorei, mano.
Oliveira suffered a micro tear in his esophagus. Wow.
Pretty painful.
His esophagus.
Serious too.
But then everybody was calling him a quitter, all this, and it's like...
All my prayers to Charles. I hope he can have a full recovery.
Eu pensei que eu não voltava a andar mais, que eu não ia ter mais o movimento do lado esquerdo. Foi momento muito complicado na minha vida.
It just sucks, you know, for Charles. You know, I know this is the way he makes his money, just like me, and I send my prayers out to him, and I hope he can get better.
Eu só pedia pra Deus me deixar eu ser uma pessoa normal ou me levar embora. Deixar eu ficar desse jeito, que eu não queria ficar uma pessoa dependendo de ninguém.
This was a terrifying situation. Charles lost a fight, he could not move his body, and he was reliving the nightmare that was his sickly childhood. But in his overnight stay at the hospital, a glimmer of hope presented itself.
Eu tava amarrada e deu tipo espasmo, eu comecei, mexeu. Tava quieto, aí eu mexi o dedinho assim, eu falava, nossa, tá mexendo, né?
Charles yet again overcame another horrifying nightmare, proving once again how resilient he is. And the savage that this skinny boy is, he returned to the cage just 4 months later.
Mesmo depois de andar, eu pensei que não seria uma pessoa normal, como um lutador, né? Poder voltar a lutar, cara, me emocionei só de subir dentro do octógono de novo, né? Poder vencer ele do jeito que foi finalizando, pra mim, pô, foi bom demais. Vencer ele do jeito que foi finalizando, pra mim, pô, foi bom demais.
Look at that dude neck. Bro!
What the fuck was that?
He better take his neck off. What you talking about?
It's over! Charles Oliveira by submission!
Oliveira choked out Masjuri in the very first round, which, although amazing, was overshadowed by the fact that just before, Charles missed weight for the 3rd time in his career.
Yeah, go ahead and move up, buddy.
By nearly 5 pounds. That is not great. But it was just a small bump in the road compared to what was coming.
He was tough. The first round, I swear I hit him with like a right hand or a body kick, and I saw his eyes roll back.
As derrotas que eu tive foi naquilo que você fazia de melhor, que é jiu-jitsu. Então imagina a sua cabeça como que fica nisso.
Charles was choked out by former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis. And to add insult to injury, his next fight had a bit of controversy.
Charles Oliveira did not take this fight seriously. He flew to Mexico 5 days before this matchup, comes in almost 10 pounds overweight.
155.
To come to Oliveira's defense, he took the fight on short notice, and he had several injuries leading up to his fight with Ricardo Lamas.
He had Lamas in a whole slew of trouble.
He had me in a couple dangerous positions in that first round. He kind of had that anaconda guillotine that he likes to go for, and it was pretty tight. The rear naked choke was tight for a second, but once I peeled his hand off the back of my head, it loosened up.
One of Ricardo Lamas's biggest strengths is he doesn't have the quit. He didn't quit and managed to tap out Oliveira.
He tapped him out? No, he did not tap him out. Never. What was Oliveira on, bro?
Tudo aquilo que Deus coloca na tua vida, o fardo que você carrega, porque você pode carregar. Deus nunca vai te dar um fardo que você não possa carregar.
Charles Oliveira, hopefully he can dust himself off and get right back on the horse, because he clearly is one of the most talented fighters in the division.
After 2 back-to-back submission losses and missing weight by 9 pounds, the UFC forced Charles to move back to the lightweight division.
He fought for 145 for a while, and he fought very well, but never really hit the strides that he hit when he went up to 155.
Às vezes você pensa que é a sua hora, o seu momento, não é. Na hora certa vai acontecer e aí você começa a trilhar a sua história.
For second all-time in terms of submission wins.
Charles immediately choked out Will Brooks in stunning fashion. So why was he so dead set on moving back down to featherweight?
You just told me that even though you had this big win at 155, you'd like to go back down to 145. Why is that?
I did a good fight tonight, a great fight, but I wanna come back to 145 division. It's my division.
The UFC said, "F all that. You've missed weight one too many times, and you look good at 155." But Charles hadn't fully acclimated to the weight class.
I remember when he fought me, he was still trying to go back down to 145 pounds.
Lembro que quando eu lutei contra o Paul Felder, que foi minha última derrota.
Which is why he wasn't as big. I mean, I must have been 20 pounds heavier than him when I fought him.
Sabia que tipo eu tinha perdido porque ele era muito mais forte do que eu, que ele tinha sido melhor do que eu naquele momento.
Even back in the day when he was still Mr. Skinny Charles Oliveira and he kicked me a few times. I remember being like, God damn.
Eu sentia que eu batia nele, ele nem mexia. E quando ele batia em mim, eu falava, mano, eu tipo no meio da luta, eu falava, meu irmão.
I thought I was gonna buzzsaw through this guy on the feet and he lands a few shots and you could see where that strength was there.
Ele era muito mais forte do que eu e eu, mano, eu tomei muita cotovelada. E você sabe, o cotovelo ele te deixa zoado. Eu só pensava, eu falei, esses caras devem ser loucos, eles querem me matar nessa categoria. Eu falei, mano, os caras são muito mais fortes do que eu.
I felt him tap. I felt him go like, you know, like no more. But the fight's not over, so I just kept chucking him.
Felder gets Charles Oliveira out of there.
Oliveira tapped those shots.
This fight didn't help the quitter narrative around Charles. It was a tough watch, but Charles was right. He was much weaker than guys like Paul Felder, but he didn't have many options.
Quando eu acabava, eu falei, mano, esses caras são loucos. Essa categoria nunca vai ser a minha. O UFC falou, não, essa categoria você tem que ficar aqui. Eu falei, mano, então eu tenho que ser forte igual esses caras. Mudou a minha história, sabe? Porque, tipo, eu falei, mano, tem que ser forte também, tem que estar batendo forte também, que senão eu vou só apanhar.
The UFC essentially burned the boats with Charles. He was stuck at lightweight, and do Bronx understood that he had to get physically ready to dominate this division. But to get mentally ready, Charles went to his happy place.
Isso aqui é um Ancelotti, isso é foda. Já ganhamos muita coisa já junto.
Você brigou em casa, às vezes você, perdeu uma luta no meu caso, às vezes aconteceu algum problema, você vem pra cá, você anda de cavalo e, você respira outro ar, né?
Pra cá, então, aqui é o lugar que eu venho pra renovar minhas baterias, pra estar bem, sabe? Aqui eu tô perto da natureza, aqui eu tô perto dos meus cavalos.
Me deixa muito bem, porque às vezes você tá no campo, naquela loucura, treinando igual louco, sabe? E aí você precisa, só de um timezinho pra você dar aquela respirada e voltar. Então, é aqui que eu me encontro.
Charles's passion for horse racing kept him grounded after his losses, and he wanted to make sure this Paul Felder loss was going to be his last. And with the marvelous introduction of a brand new family member, Charles was as motivated as ever.
Something happened, and I think they say that it's the birth of his daughter.
Really?
That when his kid
it'll do it to you.
Everything, and he became like just this assassin in there, man.
I can't wait, man. Oliveira's a tough opponent. Polished on his feet.
Little girl you had, you ready to kill something.
Slick on the ground. He's been submitted a few times too. He's got a big hole in his game, and Saturday night you guys are gonna see it. We're gonna expose that thing.
Feliz demais. Há 7 anos atrás sonhei, tenho uma filha, Deus me proporcionou isso.
When he was putting it on people, you gotta go Damn, he's good.
Queria escutar minha filha gritando, meu papai é campeão, meu papai é campeão.
Charles Oliveira by submission. That's got a familiar tone to it.
With this victory, you have tied Royce Gracie with 10 submissions in the UFC, so it's also a historic moment for
He
him.
did that
Charles
early
submitted
as
former
fuck.
Strikeforce champion and UFC veteran Clay Guida very quickly. This was a different Charles.
Charles Oliveira, I like to say that I got him started on his, his run to the title.
There's no one that's been like that, where you see one version of them that kind of has a little bit of quit in them, and then a version that is unstoppable.
He looked like a dude.
Charles Oliveira, the most submission wins in UFC history.
With his 11th UFC
Smash that right.
submission, Charles became the all-time record holder. But making history pairs very well with avenging the past.
It was 8 years ago. We're both professional athletes. We both improved.
I respect him because Jim Miller is a strong and tough fighter, but I will beat him. 100% sure it's my time.
We've both gotten 8 years older. You know, I mean, when I fought him, he was a young man. He was early 20s. It's a different fight. You know, it really is.
I believe in myself 100%. I'm ready to stand up to the ground. Any situation the fight's happening, I will beat him. I will shock the world.
There's the tap.
Finish.
Does it again. Wow. And he had already broken the record, right?
When do you want to get back in there?
Fortaleza.
I want to back to UFC Fortaleza, Brazil. I have to fight there.
Avenging his loss to Jim Miller to extend his submission record was undeniable proof that Charles was coming into his own. And though it was risky for him to demand a fight 2 months later in Brazil, chasing your dreams is a risk worth taking.
Quando você tem sonhos e você tipo, mas eu não consigo, você nunca vai realizar o sonho. Você fala, não, eu consigo, eu posso, eu sou capaz, eu vou fazer acontecer. Quando você coloca isso na sua cabeça, tudo vem, tudo na vida vem.
That's 4 fights with 4 finishes in a row. 5 would be his personal best in the UFC. But I gotta be honest, Charles. One grappler to another, this jiu-jitsu shit is getting old. Show me something a little different.
This is a trilogy fight. How did this come together?
It wasn't on my radar. I didn't think of the fight. They just threw it off to me, and I said, "Oh yeah, hell yeah."
Why you say?
His jiu-jitsu was really good, but maybe his striking wasn't as good as his jiu-jitsu.
There's a chance you can always lose against Charles Oliveira, but he would have to be a spectacular man to beat me on that night.
And slowly his jiu-jitsu and striking merged, where he's like equal. He's lethal in his striking and lethal in his jiu-jitsu.
Charles Duprox Oliveira doesn't wrap him up. He knocks him out.
Diana, hey Chan, vamos parar de brincadeira. Jogo do Bronx no top 5. Filha, papai te ama. Brasil, não fica viajando em casa não.
Mystic Lance was back at it again because Charles was indeed spectacular, getting his first knockout in the UFC. However, Charles wouldn't get a top 5 opponent next. He had just broken into the top 15. Instead, he'd face Jared Gordon.
This is MMA. Anything could happen. I'm going in there. I'm going to give it everything I got, and we'll see what happens.
Wow! Power from Charles Oliveira. Another knockout. His second of the year. This guy continues to get it done.
2 knockouts in 2 fights, and I think this was a fantastic knockout, so it shows how much I've improved in the stand-up.
Charles was knocking people out like Derek Lewis, but with nicer teeth. And after performances like these, Charles was starting to think about legacy.
Now I have a daughter that I want to give everything that I can for her. So she's my strength, and I want to do my best for her. I fight for her. I fight for my friends and family. I don't want to be just another fighter. I want to be the best fighter. I want people to say that Charles is the best.
At this point, the lightweight division was a little backlogged, but an opportunity did present itself in the form of a global catastrophe.
The coronavirus. I mean, let's be honest, this has caused this tremendous reaction around the world.
A number 13 ranked Charles Oliveira got the opportunity to face a number 8 ranked Kevin Lee as the first UFC main event during the 2020 pandemic without any fans in attendance.
Quick fight. I felt like the fight was just getting started.
Charles Oliveira just looked outstanding. I mean, in the first round, he was throwing up submission attempts after submission attempts.
I should have been throwing more offense at him instead of just playing defense.
He was a guy who was kind of known as a guy who fell apart.
A quitter a little bit.
A credit to Kevin Lee, he made it to the second round. In the second round, he was doing really well. Probably won the second round.
And he just turned a corner and then became the baddest motherfucker in the weight class.
The third round, they went out there, they were exchanging blows. Kevin went in for the takedown, left his neck exposed, and with somebody like Charles Oliveira, come on, you can't do that.
Not just the baddest motherfucker in the weight class, but one of the best motherfuckers in the sport.
Oliveira forces the tap. Charles Oliveira, another submission. The biggest win of his career comes tonight.
It's the all-time UFC submissions record, which was extended by Oliveira. He also has matched the record for finishes in the UFC.
I deserve
That's crazy.
And I'll be waiting after Ferguson and Khabib fight.
Tony Ferguson and Khabib, you know, I'll be sitting there first row. There's no way to deny it. I'm one of the best in the world. I'm ready. The belt's going to be mine.
This Super Saiyan version of Charles Oliveira was now on a 7-fight win streak on the cusp of being the finishing leader in the UFC, and this next fight was the opportunity of a lifetime.
Going down on Saturday, UFC 256, co-main event, Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira. Looking forward to it, man.
The return of El Kukui going up against DuBronx, Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira.
It's impossible
for that fight not to be incredible. So very important fight in the division. You know, either one of these guys that wins tomorrow night could be in title contention.
Lightweight legend Tony Ferguson had just come off his interim championship loss to Justin Gaethje, and lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov had just retired from the sport. So whoever won this fight was likely going to get a vacant title shot next.
Does DuBronx really cement himself as one of the best lightweights in the world on Saturday? It's all or nothing for Tony this weekend. There's going to be a ton of pressure.
I used to feel like I used to have to carry the world on my shoulders, and I did it for a certain time. And it was cool. Now it's to that point where I can just pass it now.
Charles Oliveira is incredibly impressive right now. At 31 years old, it seemed like he's really found himself, and you know, in this division.
He was beating him in the stand-up, dominating him on the ground.
When Oliveira had Tony Ferguson in that arm bar, and he had his arm completely hyperextended, and it looked like his arm was breaking.
I mean, 10 out of 10 people tapped to that arm bar. The fact that he even made it through the arm bars is unbelievable.
Tony's
a testament to how tough.
Tony is an alien. He's one of them. He's an alien. He's a demon. Yeah, Tony is one of them, bro. He's crazy.
And durable and crazy Tony Ferguson is.
Charles Oliveira might be the best damn 155-pound fighter on the planet right now, and that is a pretty crazy statement.
You could have made a case that every round was a 10-8.
Oliveira came out and completely dominated him.
It was 3 rounds to none. Very one-sided, very dominant.
Without a doubt, no matter what. I mean, the guy's one of the best in the world right now in the nastiest division in the sport.
Charles DuBronx Oliveira!
Charles Oliveira extends his winning streak to 8 in a row. He doesn't get a finish.
No one has dominated him like that, and no one has made a better case at being the top contender in the lightweight division.
He should be in a title fight, because I believe the guy is that good.
You know, look at the fight that I had tonight. You know, this is the guy that everyone calls the boogeyman. And we went in there and we had an amazing fight. You know, I've been telling everyone I'm going to be the champion. People don't believe it, so I have to show them.
He's, without a doubt, one of the top 3 guys in the world right now. And we've got some fights coming up in that division, and I have a meeting with Khabib, so we'll see how this thing plays out.
You know, the record for most fights before getting a UFC title fight is 25, Michael Bisping. So if he gets one, he'll break that record, and I feel like he's really close.
In what felt like a passing of the torch, Charles Oliveira dominated Tony Ferguson, proving that he was a force to be reckoned with. And in a division absent of a champion, DuBronx would not be denied his opportunity.
If I would have told you exactly 1 year ago, the UFC lightweight title fight would pit Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler for a vacant title, I don't know if anyone would have believed me. There's Charles, 28th UFC fight, 11 years in the UFC, or there's Chandler, second UFC fight, getting a title shot.
Being the UFC champion is the epitome of athletic accomplishment inside the sport of mixed martial arts. This is the opportunity that I've always wanted. I never quite knew if it was going to happen.
Yeah, it's the moment to show that everything that I fought for, that I battled for, is valid.
This is an incredible main event, and both guys are so hungry and want this title so bad. It just makes the fight that much more fun.
This is a young kid who had a glimmer in his eye 20 years ago from Brazil who thought, hey man, maybe I want to be a UFC champion someday. Now he gets his opportunity. It just so happens he's going to run into a buzzsaw.
2010, this guy debuted in the UFC, and to see him 11 years later turn into the fighter that he's become, nothing short of amazing.
Timing hasn't worked out as well for him as it has for Michael Chandler, but he finally got here.
I'm really happy to see this guy who had weight issues and wasn't really quite living up to his potential and our expectations, to see him turn into this.
He's a fast starter. He does tend to fade every now and then. The good thing is I can keep a high pace for 25 minutes, and that's the plan. And at some point, there's going to be a moment where he gets to choose, do I keep moving forward, or do I just say fighting for the title? Fighting for the title was enough for me. I don't need to be champion.
I don't really care what he talks about. All I'm worried about is what I'm going to show in the octagon.
One of these two is going to kick the other two's ass. They're too different of styles. Charles Oliveira 2.0 now does
know how good he is, now does know that he belongs, and that's a very different animal.
I'm excited to compete against him. He is a tough, salty veteran with a ton of UFC fights. I think he's the perfect opponent for me in a lot of ways.
Chandler's very strong, he's very compact, but he's also very quick. He got the best of both worlds in the DNA pile, okay? He's got the strength, but he's got the speed.
Michael Chandler is a very good athlete, very powerful, very good. He was Bellator champion, and I'm sure that he's going to bring his best game to the fight.
It is so important for Charles Oliveira to know this about his opponent, to come out and take charge right away. First contact likely wins this match.
In 11 years, there were losses, and I learned, and I'm really happy for this opportunity.
I think from the first exchange, I meet Charles Oliveira in the middle of that octagon. I immediately instill fear in him and immediately make him start second-guessing himself, get him on his back foot.
I have the most submissions. I'm the second most bonuses. I want to prove that I can hang with these guys. It's about my legacy. That's what I want to prove here.
As soon as he feels my power in one of those first couple exchanges, I believe he's going to start retreating, but I believe I finish him with a knockout or TKO within the first 2 rounds.
It's about history. You know, I want to be like all the other great champions from Brazil, like Anderson, like Jose Aldo, with my humility, with my attitude. It's about history.
Yeah, I was an incredible man.
Wait, I got him as far as Brazilian champion. Y'all know I got Anderson 1. Anderson down in my is the GOAT UFC fighter to me. He won for John Jones, but let me know where y'all got Dustin ranked at. I mean, I said Dustin. Charles.
Man, both guys had an unbelievable performance in that fight. Incredible first round.
On the ground, it looked like for a second he might get Chandler in the rear naked choke.
You gave him your back, and then you slammed him when he was looking for a choke. Rogan's like, this is terrible. He just slammed himself into a harder body triangle.
Yet I got out, I ended up on top, and then I was able to dominate from that top position.
O primeiro round foi round muito difícil, foi round que ele bateu bastante.
He did catch him.
He goes down, and he is pretty much out.
I thought he was
and then
out.
He rolls to his back, and his eyes are still wide, and I'm on top of him, raining down punches.
I mean, hats off to him. He came through some adversity, because I think he was pretty darn close to me getting the belt around my waist.
Charles Oliveira, I don't think, has lost a round since 2017 until he lost a round to me, and it was a 10-8 round on 2 judges' scorecards.
Mas quando acabou o round, eu levantei como se nada tivesse acontecido e eu fui direto pro corner. São 11 anos de história esperando essa oportunidade. Você acha que esse cara vai tomar de mim, né?
But when the second round started, Oliveira made a conscious decision not to go backwards. He went forward. He took the center of the octagon. He put Chandler on his heels and landed that beautiful left hook.
E aí meu pai falou assim, você tá assinando um contrato do seu maior sonho, né? Do nosso maior sonho. É fácil chegar, o difícil é a gente se manter.
This was fire, I ain't gonna lie.
Jumped the fence, came over. What did he say to you?
He said, thank you for everything that you've done for me. Tonight was the biggest opportunity in my life, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how much this means to me.
Quando o Dana White colocou o cinturão na minha cintura, a primeira coisa que veio na minha cabeça foi meu pai. É fácil chegar, o difícil é se manter.
Here's Charles Oliveira in his 28th, breaking the record for most UFC fights before winning undisputed gold.
Depois de muito tempo, 11 anos, irmão. Demorou 11 anos lá dentro. E eu batalhei pra caraca, tipo, aconteceu, tá ligado?
Michael, you're a great champion, but today was my day. Favela, it's ours. Thank you, Houston. Thank you, Brazil. This belt is for all of us.
Charles had every opportunity to quit that fight, but he had gone through too much for too long for this road to lead to anything other than his dream. And he did it.
He now holds the record for most finishes in UFC history. He already had the record for most submissions in UFC history. And this fight was really like the perfect representation of his UFC career.
This is unquestionably one of my favorite moments in UFC history. Charles Oliveira was the UFC lightweight champion. But a lot of fans thought he was just keeping the belt warm for another lightweight legend.
Very special to me because I have an opportunity to be the world champion. It gives me chills just
the
saying,
diamond.
you know, I want it so bad.
They're both two blue-collar guys who have worked hard, worked their way up, had to grind.
If Dustin Poirier comes up short, that's going to be heartbreaking, man. We all love Charles Oliveira, but Dustin Poirier, man, he's been chasing this for so long.
He's as dangerous as any of the other top guys I've fought, just in different areas. You know, his submission game, numbers don't lie. He's one of the most dangerous, most dangerous ever.
He's a tough and complete fighter, very strong in his boxing. Everyone knows he likes to take fights to 5 rounds, but
I care about what I can do.
In close, it's going to be Dustin. Range is going to be, Charles. On the ground, I think Charles slight edge, so that's a tough fight.
This is a very, very dangerous guy who's probably walking in here with the most confidence we've ever seen him. He's got all the experience. Yeah. Now he's walking in as a world champion. This is a dangerous man.
I think Poirier wins that fight by third, fourth round finish. If they do go all 5, Poirier wins the decision.
It's going to be a good matchup. I think Poirier will win. I want Poirier to win.
Guys, I'm taking Poirier.
Chill, I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier, but I would not be shocked to see Dustin Poirier end up in some really, really bad situations.
A lot of people are kind of writing him off. I don't like that, man. This is one of the most dangerous guys I've ever fought.
Not a big
puncher, not the best footwork, but very aggressive. You're not a point fighter. He's trying to finish you.
I don't want this fight to be decided by judges. Knockout, submit, and that's it. And that's what you're going to see.
My hair done. Ooh, I like Dude Bronx. I like it. I didn't know he was like that. I like that.
Doctors, when I was 10 years old, telling me I couldn't even play ball. I was born to be here. My path has led to this. I was made for this.
The first round, they didn't feel each other out. They didn't anything. They came right out and just started going.
Dustin Poirier had no power. You saw that with a big shot that knocked him on his butt.
After the first round, going into the second, thinking I'm going to be the world champion tonight.
I had it 1-1, and I thought Poirier would take over.
Charles Oliveira responded incredibly well. He showed heart. He also showed toughness. He showed intelligence.
When Charles Oliveira fights, even though he's the champion, he fights like a berserker.
Some of those knees, man, you could tell that they hurt Dustin, and those add up quickly. Charles just has so many ways of hurting you, and those have a cumulative effect.
Kept hurting him, and by the time he got down on the ground, and no one wants to do jiu-jitsu me on the ground.
I pulled his hands down once, and his forearm slipped under my chin, and once he tucked it, there wasn't a hand for me to grab to really pull it down.
The way he beat Poirier, man, that choke was so fucking good. It was so good.
How do you submit 20 of the most dangerous people in the world?
We're going to get rid of that "he's got quitting him" thing. I mean, that's not going to happen anymore. This guy, in the last 2 championship fights, has been...
You a demon!
knocked down by guys who put people away. And he came back and won both of those fights convincingly.
They say, I can't take hits. Look at what I've been doing. They say, I quit. Look at what I've been doing. So I'm just going to continue to do what I do. It's not about how much you get hit. It's how much you take it and the legacy that you want to leave. That's what's important. It's a legacy. I want to make history. I want to build a legacy. I want to show people that I can.
Look, I love Dustin Poirier. I made a documentary about him, which you guys should all check out. But Charles, this guy was getting more and more vicious, finishing legends. And conveniently, there was another legend waiting in line.
Justin Gaethje was just here. You guys had a moment. You got to meet. He wants to fight you.
I cannot wait to fight him.
Easily the fight to make.
Justin Gaethje's been calling him a quitter for weeks now. The fact that he's going to prove that he's not a quitter, he's going to stand and go toe-to-toe, and that's going to be his demise. He's going to get knocked out trying to prove he's not a quitter.
I was saying in the times that he's lost, he didn't even get knocked out.
He's going to...
I cannot wait to fight him.
Easily the fight to make.
Justin Gaethje's been calling him a quitter for weeks now. The fact that he's going to prove that he's not a quitter, he's going to stand and go toe-to-toe, and that's going to be his demise. He's going to get knocked out trying to prove he's not a quitter.
I was saying in the times that he's lost, he didn't even get knocked out. He's quit sometimes. And the choice to quit is something that one makes. And once you make it, you can make it again.
Charles Oliveira's biggest kryptonite, it is Justin Gaethje.
Some people ain't trying to have CTE, though. But I understand.
He knows his way out, and that's just to quit whenever he gets hit too many times too hard.
I think Justin's more of a killer. If he hurts Charles, he just might finish him.
What is the worst possible thing that could happen? Me falling into a grappling situation and him choking me out, that would be absolutely embarrassing.
My legacy wants to be remembered as a person that came from nothing, from nobody, and climbed all the way up to the top without ever having to step in anybody to get there. That's my legacy.
This matchup was fireworks. The entire MMA community could not wait. But just before the fight, something unfortunate happened.
Unprecedented situation that has developed here. UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira misses weight this morning here in the desert.
He initially weighs in at 156. Then he strips down. He weighs in at 55.5. And as a result, he is stripped. Essentially stripped on the spot.
First time ever a UFC champion has lost their belt on the scale.
I know what you're thinking. Charles, damn it, how could you miss weight for the 5th time in your career and for a title fight no less? But guys, it isn't that simple.
He got screwed. There was some shenanigans with the scale. Some people had messed with the scale.
Teve problema na balança. Eles avisaram todos os lutadores e eu fui o único que não fui avisado.
There's a problem with these digital scales. These scales are calibrated. Foreign fighters use kilograms. And then the foreign fighters would reset the scale so they could switch it back to kilograms. So it f***s up the whole calibration. He weighed in like the night before the weigh-ins. He was like, oh, I'm good to go.
I made weight on Thursday. But regardless, a champion continues to work and goes until the end. And I try to do everything
everything because I'm a professional, I'm a champion. And a champion has a name. His name is Charles Oliveira.
Cheguei na balança, a balança já não era a mesma, era outra balança.
And then in the morning, he goes and shows up for the weight cut, and it's a pound plus off. That is directly related to this calibration thing.
Quando eu subi na balança, 1 quilo acima, tipo, vocês estão loucos, tá ligado? Tipo, e aí eles tiraram o cinturão por causa de 200 gramas.
The fact that he was stripped of the belt, to me, is absolutely criminal. It's a travesty.
That's bro. Like, I would have thought UFC would have more of a like person like on standby, like would see these things and know this stuff. Like,
it's lunacy.
Once that fight begins, Charles Oliveira is no longer the lightweight world champion. However, if Justin Gaethje wins, he will leave the undisputed UFC lightweight champion. If Oliveira wins, the belt is still vacant.
Now they have the UFC has a new policy because of this, where they have a guard who watches over the scale 24 hours a day, where no one can f with the scale.
A minha comissão me roubou. Isso ninguém vai tirar da minha cabeça.
The psychology of losing your belt and then having to go out there and be like, even if I beat this guy now, I still lost it.
Só que meu pai só chorava. Aí meu pai, pô, é um legado. Tipo, eles não podem tirar isso, tá ligado?
I mean, I almost kind of feel bad for him because I think in his mind he was doing everything right.
Logo em seguida liga sua filha. Minha filha, 5 anos, irmão. Papai, eles pegaram seu cinturão. Então, tipo, isso me pilhou, tá ligado? Isso me motivou.
If you think that this is going to frustrate me, you're wrong. The champion has a name. His name is Charles Oliveira.
From the moment the first bell rings, he's coming at you. Guns blazing.
There was a big right hand that Charles Oliveira landed early on, and I thought that sort of got in Gaethje's head a little bit.
He puts himself in danger. He doesn't fight safe. He doesn't fight to outpoint you.
He gets rocked by Gaethje, who's got hands of stone.
Justin Gaethje hurts him, but Charles lays there for a few, has to let him up.
Oliveira's so different than anybody else. When he gets hit, he just lays on his back.
Yeah.
And he's like, come get some of this.
As I said a couple of times, who wants it more? It all came down to who wanted it more.
Gaethje was overwhelmed by Oliveira's pace and his aggression. When he hit Gaethje said no one ever hit him that hard before. He said he felt it in his teeth.
He takes the back, almost gets the chop, switches to an armbar for a second, wasn't there. Then he takes the triangle. Justin escapes like a genius to his back, takes the choke, sleep.
How did he become this guy? He is legitimately one of the best fighters I have ever seen in my entire life.
Hey, there's something missing here. The champion has a name, and it's Charles Oliveira from the Bronx.
O campeão tem nome, chama Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx. Esse cara é o campeão.
This is the message to the entire division. I'm a problem for the entire division. I am the enlightened. I'm the champion. This is my title. It should be here.
The champion, I haven't lost this. The champion has a name. His name is Charles Oliveira. The champion's name is Charles Oliveira. I'm going to keep on going and keep on pushing. I'm not going to get no title. I'm going to defend it, and that's pretty simple.
Despite losing his title on the scale, we all agreed Charles is the champion.
Facts.
And was now on a path
we
to
talking
potential
about, man,
lightweight
Dana?
GOAT. I mean,
we
the guy had
about?
effectively 2 title defenses, finishing 2 common opponents quicker than Khabib Nurmagomedov did. But now, knocking on Charles's door was the Eagles protege.
I have 10 fight win streak here, 11 fight win streak.
Yo, every time I listen to a Russian protege, Khabib, him, it's like boogeyman hours, man. It's like they talking in like, I have finished him. Man, bruh.
Brother, if you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
Was the Eagles protege.
I have 10 fight win streak here, 11 fight win streak. I believe this is biggest fight for the all MMA fans.
It is the first time in UFC history 2 fighters on a plus 10 fight win streak go head to head.
People are going to say this is your toughest fight so far, though. Do you agree with that?
No. I know.
Islam gonna take him to the deep ocean and make him tough. Nothing against Charles Oliveira, but Islam on another level.
Eles falaram que vão montar em mim como montam no cavalo. Eles falaram que, tipo, pô, eu não sou ninguém, o Islam é um fenômeno.
Islam, I think for sure, will not be afraid to take Charles down. That's his bread and butter. That is how he fights. That's what got him here in the first place. So he's not going to abandon that.
My goal, I have to finish him because this guy have most finishes in the UFC, and if I finish him, it's gonna be very big for my career.
Eu acho que em pé eu sou bem melhor do que ele. Eu acho que se me botar pra baixo, eu vou estar trabalhando aquilo que eu sei fazer de melhor.
I think this will be a long fight. We're going to see both of these guys have moments. I think that it's going to be a very competitive fight.
I have all the respect in the world for this guy, but I'm a sharpshooter. I'm going to keep pressing forward. I'm going to knock him out in the first round.
This is gonna be like not easy fight because this guy champion, this guy have good skills, grappling skills, striking skills. It's gonna be a very good fight.
As I said before, the champion of the lightweights is Charles Oliveira, and nothing changed. I came here to defend my title.
It could go the distance. It could go either way. But my money is Charles Oliveira.
You don't say my name. I never heard you say my name.
I didn't have any reason to say your name. The name of the champion is Charles Oliveira.
One thing.
I have Oliveira winning this fight. 30 of his 33 victories have been by finish. It will be a finish. I think Oliveira hurts him on the feet, wraps him up, and finishes with submission.
70-some% are taking Charles Oliveira over Islam.
I think he gets a knockout or a ground and pound stoppage late in the fight.
What do you and the guys behind you think is going to happen in this?
And if he finishes Islam, is there a legitimate argument that Charles Oliveira is the greatest lightweight in UFC history?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I agree with that 100%.
I'm not striker, I'm not jiu-jitsu, I'm not the wrestler. I'm best MMA fighter right now.
What's this fight going to look like? What are you going to do to Islam Makhachev on October 22nd?
Eu vou chocar o mundo mais uma vez. Eu vou chocar o mundo mais uma vez.
He came out guns blazing, got in his face, and right away put himself in striking range with Islam, which was a mistake. He ate a left hand or a right hand very early in the fight.
I know this guy have good jiu-jitsu, but I always told everybody I don't care about his jiu-jitsu because I know my skills.
I think Charles kind of laid off the pressure because he understood that Makhachev could change levels and take him down. He was less assertive in the stand-up, and I think ultimately that's what cost him.
Credit to Charles Oliveira, he hung tough, but Islam's on a different level right now.
Depois desse lado aqui já não era mais eu. Tipo, eu não me senti que eu tava na luta.
Ultimately, that led to him getting knocked down, which then led to the finish.
To beat Oliveira is one thing, to beat him the way he beat him is another.
Sometimes we're here and it's not our day. I promise you, I'm going to get this back.
There's not much to say. Today who's better than I was. I mean, there's nothing much to say.
I respect him because this guy tough, you know. He come from not easy life.
No one's ever gonna hit me as hard as life has hit me. So fell down, and I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna get this belt back.
Charles ending his title reign, an 11-fight win streak, was tragic. But as we now know, Islam Makhachev is legitimately one of the best fighters we've ever seen. Coming off this loss, Charles could have taken
Islam
a
top 10
fight
for sure,
just to get back in the win column. But instead, he took on Beneil Dariush, who was largely considered the dark horse of the division and was riding an 8-fight win streak. But that doesn't mean shit when you're Charles do Bronx.
Incredible performance, especially against Beneil, who a lot of people thought was going to win this fight.
He hit Beneil Dariush with a nasty combination. Right hand, right high kick together, and it was over for Beneil Dariush.
Damn.
Charles do Bronx Oliveira might be the new guy who's your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. He has stopped 20 men inside that octagon.
Hello, Vancouver! Hello, Canada! I'm sorry, my English is little. I thank so much. I big support. I big fans. Hey, Charles Oliveira, I big champion. The champion is the name. The Charles Oliveira, brother.
As a fan, I want to see Charles get Islam next.
I'm excited for him and Islam to fight again.
He seems to be off into the rematch against Islam Makhachev, and I have to believe that it's going to be more competitive.
What would you do differently in the rematch?
Nada. Eu não vou fazer nada. Eu vou ser simplesmente seu Charles.
Just like that, Charles Oliveira was right back in the title picture, and he actually got scheduled to fight Islam Makhachev in a title fight rematch a few months later. But his story could never be so simple.
Is Charles Oliveira out of his fight with Islam, and is Alex Volkanovski in?
Yes. All of that is true. Round 5 of sparring last night. Splits his eyebrow wide open. Had it stitched up last night. He's supposed to jump on a plane today. Obviously, can't fly out there with that.
That's right. Oliveira split his eyebrow open just before the fight, which is just tragic because now the lightweight title picture had moved on and he had to re-earn his shot nearly a year later in a #1 contendership match against Arman Tsarukyan. This fight was very frustrating because early on, Charles had Arman in one of the tightest guillotines I have ever seen.
The guillotine in that first round, how tight was that?
Was tight. Choke was too tight, but like I knew I'm gonna get out from there and I'm gonna win this fight.
Despite Arman escaping the guillotine, Charles's offense won him that round. But the second round was a different story. Arman effectively imposed his wrestling and ground and pound for the majority of the round, and despite Oliveira's attempt at a loose triangle armbar, the round went to Arman. In the final round, Arman was positionally sound throughout, but not much damage was delivered by either side. However, in the final 30 seconds of the fight, Arman was caught in a dangerous Darce choke, but stalled out the position to hear the final bell.
Não comemorei assim de tipo, tá ligado? Porque não foi a luta que eu queria, mas na minha cabeça eu já perdi ganhando o primeiro e o último.
Per the new judging criteria, I believe that Oliveira got closer to finishing the fight in the first and third rounds, therefore, I believe that Charles won the fight. However, I don't believe it was a robbery, it was just a tough fight to score. Charles was now in a tricky situation where we didn't really feel like he lost, but he was at least another fight away from a title shot. Charles needed a win bad, and luckily, there was a girthy, motivational speaker looking for
to beat me again. You know, once you've beat a guy, now you're supposed to beat him again. You know, he was the better man at UFC 262 that night. I get an opportunity to right that wrong.
Michael Chandler's been gone for 2.5 years waiting for Conor McGregor. He finally now is fighting Charles Oliveira.
I think I'm going to be the better man on Saturday night. I think he's dangerous everywhere, but I do think a more calculated approach by me is going to get my hand raised.
So now you have Charles Oliveira, who has stayed busy. He's gone through training camps. He's beat the scale before. He's dealt with the media. He's made that walk. And you have Chandler, who waited.
We have to come back better. We have to come back stronger. I'm more focused. I'm more motivated. I'm ready to go.
Big title implications against a guy who's already beat me, shattered my dreams of becoming lightweight champion. And on Saturday night, I submit myself as the #1 contender, and my next fight will be for the belt.
What type of fight are you expecting?
Uma guerra, eu só vou andar pra frente, eu só vou caminhar pra frente, eu vou caçar do começo ao fim.
When I got into the sport at 22, I wanted to be champion. I wanted to be known as the #1 guy in the world, and I can't do that without beating Charles Oliveira on Saturday night.
For everything that I've gone through, I know that beating Michael Chandler is my passport to the title, and so that's why I'm here. That's what I'm ready for. That's what I'm willing to win to get that belt.
Charles is beloved. Hey, listen, if you don't love Charles Oliveira, you're not a mixed martial arts fan. So I give it to him. It's all respect. If you don't love Charles Oliveira, you can kick rocks.
There's a new addition to the Oliveira household. Congratulations on that. How has all that been?
About a month ago, my son was born, and I said, your dad is going to be a champion again, just like your dad was a champion for his daughter.
Little boy, Dominic, just over a month old now, on the way to the airport, just holding onto the little thing, couldn't let go.
I'm gonna turn things around. I'm gonna be a champion again, and I need all of you to be by my side as I do that.
That's what motivates me. I want to show this kid that, you know what, Dad's gonna be a champion again.
First couple rounds, I was trying to get things going. I feel like I gave up a couple of those rounds in order to hopefully put it on him in the later rounds. Just couldn't get anything going tonight.
I wanted to work on everything. I wanted to work on my striking. I wanted to work my jiu-jitsu. I wanted to work on my wrestling.
Charles Oliveira whooped Michael Chandler's ass for 4 rounds straight, despite multiple fence grabs, glove pulls, and eye pokes. But in the 5th round, Charles suffered worse than that.
That's a big right for Chandler. Oliveira's in trouble on the retreat.
That 5th round sure was a lot of fun, roller coaster. Almost had him out of there in the 5th.
I think one of the biggest things they're talking about online right now is the back of the head shots.
A lot of shots to the back of the head, some eye pokes in there, but you know what? It's part of it. Not gonna criticize. I know I got to that position, but I was just kept thinking about my family, my kids.
He took my back and I jumped a couple times to win the crowd over. Hats off to Charles. That's who he is. He's a hard guy to beat. He stayed in there till the end.
Charles the Bronx Oliveira!
My wins have always been for my daughter, but also now I have a son, Dominic. This win is for Dominic.
Charlinho, você falou agora, né? Pô, meu objetivo era dar uma vida melhor pra minha família e você deu.
A minha família tá bem, quem anda comigo tá bem. Se o Charlie morreu hoje, minha família vai tá bem, minha filha vai tá bem.
The fact that Charles is still in Brazil, he's still in a favela. He's the one that provides the food and the toys for the entire community. He will never leave. He will never leave this area, and he will never quit taking care of this town.
He's so respectful, and so nice. He's hard not to root for.
Já passei, sabe, tipo, que eu tenho hoje é fora daquilo que eu sonhava em ter.
Recordista de bônus, recordista de finalização, o cara que mais demorou pra se tornar campeão. A minha história tá escrita lá dentro.
Ela poder fazer, então, se eu chegasse com o Charles daquela época lá, ele não ia acreditar.
É o mesmo menino de 11, 12 anos atrás.
There's no one that's been like that, where you see one version of them that kind of has a little bit of quit in them, and then a version that is unstoppable.
Eu, tipo, de verdade, eu acredito que Deus me escolheu, sabe, pra poder mudar a minha história, mudar a história dos meus pais e de muitas outras pessoas.
Na luta, no trabalho, no esporte, algo que seja o seu sonho. Beijo no coração.
Um moleque que veio do nada, de baixo, de dentro da comunidade. No branco significa isso pra mim.
Hey man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Shout out to New Bronx. Hey man, like, comment, subscribe. I already know what to do. Hype the video if you made this. If you made this fun a video, I want y'all to comment. To the right, I'm a real one. It's right, I'm a real one. Look, man, y'all already know what to do, man. I'm gonna see y'all in that video. Charles is different, man. Charles, let me know y'all got Charles ranked at though all time as far as the lightweight division, because that lightweight division. Look, man, I'm gonna see y'all next, man. No